Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Pirate's Corner with your host, me, Rixx Javix. Although, to be honest, this week, kind of tearing the persona off a little bit and really coming to you more as myself, Bryan Ward, professional graphic designer, creative director, copywriter, chief marketing officer, mover, creator of brands for the last 40 years, a professional creative. As I like to say, creative not only in art and graphic design, but also in marketing plans and helping clients grow their businesses. That's kind of my thing. And sadly, my thing has been kind of dead for the last 3 years. I did take a short break, if you might remember, to help a company in Poland create a Eve board game for 2 years, a little over 2 years. And that kind of put a dent in my professional career a little bit. I don't regret a second of it, but here we are. So I find myself at a crossroads. And a few months ago, I'm sitting around talking about it with my beautiful wife and deciding on what to do for the future. And I decided that now was the time for me to take all of my desperate sort of connected networking of things, my blog, my long dormant 20-year-old YouTube channel, and my passion for Eve Online, and bring all those things together. And I thought, it'd be nice if I could start a podcast. And there was my friend Dave Perry, who was also thinking about starting a podcast. He was getting back into the game and needed a home for that. So we decided to partner up and do that. And then there's my involvement with a platform called Just, which I'm going to be doing a separate video on here in the next few weeks to talk about in detail. But I've been involved with those guys since the very beginning when they launched the site, and I love it. It's a content creator platform that pays creators rewards for creating content for various video games, and that's great. Awesome stuff. So that gives me a backbone of some financials, not a lot, but, something to build off of. A lot of my creative expression comes from rewards that are on Just. And then how do I create those and then turn those into videos, which I tremendously enjoy doing. I always have. And so I like to do those. I like to do a lot of content. And this Pirate's Corner, coming to you every week, is an example of that. So that's what I am trying to commit to doing that and to providing entertainment and hopefully some useful information along the way. I'm trying to mix things up a little bit and try to be as creative as I can. In the coming weeks and months, I'll be doing even more creative art stuff. I've got a project that I'm going to be starting this week that is going to involve some concept art for a new line of spaceships that who knows, based on an idea that I had 16 years ago, believe it or not. More about that later. But I did want to come back around to an issue that's been developing in the world and in my own career for the last, to be honest, 10 decade or more, and that is the issue of artificial intelligence. And so let's get this off our chest. I'm sure I'm going to make everyone mad tonight because I'm going to tell you my personal, professional opinions about AI. So let's start at the beginning. My position on AI is a constantly evolving web of opinions. So I think anyone who comes in front of a camera and says something emphatic about artificial intelligence as a global phenomenon, as an impact agent, as a change agent, or anything, is probably treading on dangerous. They're oversimplifying a problem that's very, very gigantic and has no way of being put back into that bottle. The genie is out of the bottle, and it will continue to grow and evolve and change over time. There's no putting it back. I, for one, many, many years ago, advocated for legislative guardrails and guide rails for it, and those were not forthcoming, sadly. And now we're, too late in the process, really. I am concerned about issues of privacy. I'm concerned about issues of environmental impact. I'm concerned about all the issues that you should be concerned about. We should all be concerned about those issues. Fundamentally, as a human being, as a person who cares about my own life, my own career, and those of my children, I am concerned about those deeply. But my views on AI are developing every day. I'm in an office I share with my wife, this studio. Over there is her desktop, and she is working every day as a software consultant, helping people migrate large sums of data, primarily on the SharePoint platform from Microsoft, but also using Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI tool. She subscribes professionally, which is paid for by work, to ChatGPT. And so I, as a beneficiary of that largesse, get to also talk to ChatGPT on a regular basis. I will tell you that I do not share personal or information with that device, but I do have, over the last few years, come to find it to be a really great on-the-shoulder partner, idea board, person to bounce ideas off of, or to help you structure things in an organized, logical way. It has its uses. And to deny that would be ridiculous. I do remain concerned about people who are susceptible to what we're growing to call AI psychosis, or overdependence on chatbots, things like that. I don't happen to be one of those people, but there are those who are being impacted by that, and I do remain concerned about it. I think as a creator that it is empirical for us to continue to be engaged with new technologies as they evolve and are introduced and evolve. I can remember, when I entered the creative workforce in the early 80s, we were doing things on boards with film cameras, with photostats, with film, with other things, printing presses. Computers were really not. The only computer experience that I had up until that point was with an Apple IIe, or computer experiences that I gained on my own. The first job I had professionally, we had a typesetter, which would print out large, long sheets of type on different fonts, and you would have to cut those manually and glue them to boards, believe it or not, and then take them downstairs to this gigantic camera, who had a huge board you would put the stuff on. You'd go in the other room, turn the lights out, and use chemicals and photo paper to take a picture of what you had just done so that it could be turned into film and then separated into CMYK for printing, all done by hand. My next job professionally was on a Mac, using Quark Express, or Adobe Illustrator, and Adobe Photoshop. I had been fortunate in many ways to get an early look at the beta of Photoshop, and that was a revelatory experience for me. I did serve on the Adobe Advisory Committee for council for a year or two, maybe 2.5 years. Anyway, as a Gen Xer, I have lived through a lot of technological changes, and this is just yet another one of those. So I have played around with Midjourney when it came out. I have played around with other platforms. I have recently become kind of startled by Adobe's Project Neo, which if you haven't tried that, it's a web-based 3D modeling program, which is pretty impressive. It only has, I've been playing around with it for this week, and I haven't even touched any generative art aspects of that program yet, because just the basics of it are amazing. So we're seeing an environment in which a lot of things are changing rapidly and fast. And AI is finding its way into our lives, whether we like it or not, in many ways which we can't predict. But as a creative, I can assure you that I've never, not once, used any generative AI in my art. Would I pass off a blog post that was written by ChatGPT as being written by me? Never. I did do an experiment on Evaganda. You can probably find it if you do some Google searching, where I called it out. I said this blog post was written by ChatGPT because I just wanted to, that was back when I was playing around with it and I wanted to see what it was capable of. Somebody sent me a link once to a site that would, I believe it was Charles White who sent me the link to a site that would look at your blog and then do sort of like a podcast about it. It's on my YouTube. I called it out. It's clearly defined as this as being an AI thing. It matters to me because this is my creative work. This is my life, and all the stuff that I do for the board game, for content, for my YouTube channel are very important to me. I am a creator, a graphic designer, a creative thinker, a copywriter. I am a lot of things. Board game maker, designer, and a gamer. One thing that I am not, however, is a very good musician. I don't happen to be able to make music very well. I was in jazz band growing up. I was fortunate to be a pretty good trombone player. I was first seat trombone in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade for the orchestra. I do have a musical background, but I in no way claim to be a musician. In my professional career, I have in many instances produced music with music producers and with bands in order to soundtrack commercials for television. I have also written many of those. There are YouTube videos on my YouTube channel of jingles and things that I've written over the years for clients, produced by actual musicians, and it costs a lot of money to produce. So I have a history of that as well, because I am a copywriter and I do love music, all types of music. I wrote the original lyrics for Eve, Dumb Ways to Die, which Sindel was kind enough to take and modify to her own voice, which was important. And so that's an example. Up until recently, I subscribed to, because I could afford to, I subscribed to a music service. I won't name which one, but it was a good one. It wasn't super expensive, and I could use that music as background for videos. Some of my Universal Geographic videos have that music in the background. Unfortunately, I got to a point where I couldn't afford to do that any longer, and so something sort of terrible happened in that they copyright striked me after I stopped subscribing on music that I had previously paid for. So I'm still trying to get that sorted out. But those videos, some of those videos are copyright striked now, and I can't make any ad revenue from those videos. And that stuck with me. It's kind of like the process I went through with Adobe iStock, or which I paid for, which was expensive. That was like $25 extra on top of my regular Adobe subscription for years, because I used stock photography or elements of stock photography in some professional work that I was doing for other agencies and clients, and I needed that. But as time went on, more and more of the images that were available on iStock, or the Adobe stock, became AI generated. Until the point it was almost all AI generated images, photography, things. Finding human created pieces was getting more and more difficult. And also I couldn't afford it any longer, so I had to quit that too. All I'm trying to say is that I am not in any way ever pretending to be something I'm not. I'm really good at a lot of things, and I am not really good at making music. And nor can I afford to hire a studio or to pay for a singer or a band or a studio time or, anything else related to that, not on the kind of level that I need to create the creative things that I want to create and to benefit from those. So I was watching a video with a person I respect. His name is Rick Beto. He does music reviews. He's a gentleman about a little older than me who's worked in the music industry his entire life as a producer. He does really great YouTube videos. I enjoy his stuff. And he mentioned that he had come a long way on certain things, and he was episode was talking about Suno. And so I was intrigued. I went over. I started playing with it. I had written a lot of Eve songs on my blog and other places that I had in some notes that I had saved. And so I started experimenting with it and quickly realized that if you write your own lyrics and you do a good job on prompting, that some of the results were starting to really sound like decent. And that was a previous version. I think around December, a new version came out. So I tried some of those again, and I was even more impressed with the results. Now, I want to be perfectly clear here that I am not in any way saying that these are professional, quality, Spotify-ready albums of music. They are, in my opinion, novelty pieces, much like the old days of Dr. Demento and some of the crazy stuff, experimental things that people were doing back in the day. They are no way am I trying to pass myself off or make an income from the production of those pieces. They are there simply because I have a creative expression that I want to do. And that I can own the rights to them because I wrote the lyrics. Suno produced the music, yes, but based on prompts that I'm giving it. And believe me, there are a lot of killed tracks that suck, quite frankly. But I am not in any way trying to pass myself off as a professional musician, or in any way am I happy about the fact that I'm stuck here doing this and that it is farming a library of very talented people in order to create the things that I need it to do. I'm not going to stop using it. And if you have a problem with that, that's fine. I have a problem with that, as I've expressed on many occasions. I have issues with it as well. I wish there were a better way. I wish there was a better way. But I need these things to happen quickly. I'm producing a lot of content. I'm trying to keep the channel entertaining for you so that I can grow my subscriber base, and that maybe at some point down the road, I might be able to make a living doing this. And that is my goal right now, is to make a living from this, because I'm running out of other options. So I'm dedicated to doing this 100%. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to create really what I think are fun, entertaining videos, some of which are going to be based on songs that I've written. Because otherwise, those songs would still be in folders on my hard drive, and you would never have heard them. And I have to say, I think that is better than I think hearing them is better than not hearing them. If you disagree, then don't watch the videos. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like the new version of Eve, Dumb Ways to Die, I don't know what to tell you. I worked my ass off on that video for 3 weeks straight. The idea came to me many months ago. I wrote it down in my notebook, and I've been picking at it for months, trying to figure out a way around it, how to do it in a different way. And so I wanted to create a version that wasn't based on the New Zealand safety video from 12 years ago, that was uniquely original. And that's something that I could be proud of. And not that I'm not proud of the first one. I am, in a different way. Something that I created that wasn't based on somebody else's work. I think that makes sense if you want to look at it that way, because that is truly what it was about. I wanted it to be mine, not based on something else that somebody else had done. And this is where we get to AI, right? I know people who create the most beautiful, gorgeous mixed media art pieces. I have an artist friend who has gallery shows with absolutely gorgeous mixed media art installations. Now, I know another painter who uses found pieces from trash that he finds, and he puts it together and he paints over it, and he does a lot. It's absolutely gorgeous, and he's got a nice career going from doing that. Excuse me. Are those not real pieces of art? They didn't create, or in many cases, they didn't create the pieces. A brass headbed, a brass piece that's been found, a very intricate corset or something from the past that's being incorporated into a mixed media piece. Does that seamstress get credit? Does the brass workman who worked on that in the factory, does he get credit in the mixed media piece? No, of course not. It's a combination of elements that form something new. Now, I am, again, not a person who's going to be using generative AI in anything that I create, because that's where I draw the line. But I want to ask that because to me that sounds like a great metaphor for what we're talking about. It's accumulation of things that have created something new. Back in the day, we had a sign on our office in our studio, a graphic design studio in Philadelphia, that said acquire, modify, and improve. Anytime we got something that was a deadline-based thing that had to be done by Friday, say a new package for Eggo, just to pull something out of my hat, with 4 days. So one of the first things we would always do is sit down and go through design books, print magazine, other magazines that were design related, and flip through those. What are the current trends? Trying to stay up to date on what people were doing, what colors were being used. What was the Pantone palette that year? What are some of the trends coming out of Paris or London or somewhere else or Tokyo? Some of the cool the way they use type or fonts. And we would incorporate those into a piece that we were designing for a client. Is that not okay? I have to say that I think that it is. That's what art really comes down to, is standing on the shoulders of giants who came before us and sensing the trends in the wind and knowing when to use and incorporate those elements into your own work. And I haven't created anything original in my life. I've come up with a lot of really cool stuff, and I like to think that some of it is highly original, but I'm sure in some ways it reflects those who came before me. That's what we are doing. We are evolving and changing and growing, but we are not on an island. We are connected to our past. We are connected to those great ones who went before us, those writers, those people who put ideas in our head from the time we were born, the TV shows that I've seen, the movies that I've experienced, the music that I've listened to. I am a culmination. My brain is a culmination of all of those elements. The elders who taught me, the wisdom they passed down to me. I am not a person who has sprung whole cloth from nothingness. And that starts to have me pause. I remain concerned. We all should. Privacy issues, environmental issues, the impact that large data centers are having on my home state are devastating. I think economically, I think we're on a bubble. I think there's a lot of bad things that can possibly happen. I think there's a lot of bad things that are happening. And I think I am very, very concerned about those. And I hope that you are too. I don't have all the answers, and I don't pretend to. I know that I am paying attention. I'm trying to stay informed. I'm trying to stay on top of the technology and not behind it. Because I've learned one thing from being a Gen Xer is that you don't want to miss the boat. Digital photography, desktop publishing, high-speed internet, broadband internet, satellite internet, technology, computers, all the things, 3D art, all the things that have changed how we do things. And you decide to stay up to date with them, at least knowledgeable about them as they come, or you simply ignore them at your own peril. And I hope that helped satisfy any curiosity you had about what I think about the current situation, and that I hope it illuminated some things for you. I'm not trying to justify anything. This is a scary time for me. I hope it's a scary time for you. We're all living in the same world together. And I think that hurling insults and judging people, it only serves to add to that negativity. I think that there are a lot of crazy things being done and a lot of changes happening. And I remain optimistic about the future. So thank you for listening. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I've got some more creative things on the way, and I hope that you've been enjoying those. Take care.